Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to get ready for draft 2, or draft phase of game 2 coming up in just a few minutes here as teams for Dark Matter and ANEW Esports are getting themselves ready and hashing out their final thoughts with their coaches and their staff before they get into game. But here on the analyst desk, we want to go over some things because, like we said at the beginning of the day, we were, and, going into game 1, we're pretty adamant that there's going to be a quick 2-0 sweep. ANEW Esports are already halfway through that prediction, but, at least there was a plan of attack from Dark Matter going into focusing Five Fire in the mid lane. Here's Max.
Yeah, they definitely did have at least a plan, which is more than a few of the teams that we've been seeing in the last few days here, guys. Mm-hmm. They camped so hard in mid lane. It felt like Xyle didn't leave that lane until like 10 minutes into the game. They really wanted to make sure the Five Fire was put behind and SpearX can get ahead on this Syndra, which it was kind of working. They were getting a few plays off there, as we're seeing. They're making a few of these plays in the river, trying to find at least some footing in this game that I'm sure even they knew was very. It was not favored by any means. The 4th seed against 1st seed, and ANEW just coming off of the win against 100 Next. Again, very dominant team to have to go up against if you are Supernova Dark Matter.
Right, and instead of harping on where Dark Matter messed up, I do want to give them credit about the game plan, right?
Yeah.
Twisted Fate, it's a pick that we've seen really cropping up. And if you watch a player like Teacherma play that in the LPL, I mean, this guy's insane. He gets out of lane so fast, like TP's somewhere at level 4, but if you put the jungler mid and spend this much time and energy, it should set the Twisted Fate behind and, really not allow him to get moving. But with all the tools that ANEW Esports had at their disposal, it just wasn't enough. And Five Fire, being such the solid player that he is in the mid lane, still found ways to get CS, make plays around the map, and be the catalyst that he usually is for this team, especially on this Twisted Fate. And guys, he is so good on this champion. Please do not let him have it. I respect the fact that you let him have it and then had a game plan for it, but I think you have to take it off the table now because that did not work. And ANEW Esports, heavy favorites going into this game. Credit to Dark Matter for at least having a game plan and putting up some sort of fight. I like some of the strategy they had to their picks, but this is really just like ANEW Esports on another level, right? They're one of the top 2 teams that we have here in SGC, and they proved it with a very dominant game 1 here.
Yeah, they tried to take down the main win condition for ANEW usually, but they forgot about the secondary win con. Getting me all the points, sure you on this Ashe. I really like the priority that all of these teams in SGC are putting on Ashe as well. This champion is super strong. Mm-hmm. The laning phase is so dominant. You come in with the arrows later. We were watching how the Ornell came through, popped the brittle on someone, and then the Ashe arrow did like 700 damage on the pop on the brittle. So that combination's sick. But Ashe just in general, very strong champion. I think that this. Maybe I'm being a little bit blasphemous here, but I feel like this champion could become the next like Varus, where you just have to ban away this really strong AD. It seems really good, Cubby. I think this champion's broken.
Nope, teams have not figured out how to play against it, and I'm going to give you 2 tips on how to play against Ashe. Tip 1, Karthus bot. Tip 2, Ziggs bot. Please play those champions in Ashe. She literally cannot do anything. But yeah, I mean, she's strong. Shoryu played it very well. He's such a solid player himself. Like, the storyline with Five Fire and Shoryu is always like, why aren't these guys in Academy? And a lot of that is because of their experience and also their performance there, but also because they're proving it down here in SGC, right? We expect these players to stomp their competition, and they really have improved at this game as well. So interested to see if Dark Matter has any strategies coming out game 2, anything different. And I'd love to see ANEW play something like really cheesy. Something you can do, like if you're the heavy favorites in these games, is take something in draft that you think is really like people have to plan for in the future, right? Like take a cheese pick, play some sort of like one trick, and maybe you can draw bans going into a different series. Like ANEW could actually do themselves favors as they move ahead because they are such heavy favorites in this match. They should be trying new things and trying to, spread their champion pool, draw bans, or hide everything. I think they hid everything in that game. We know those players play those champions. Wukong jungle is a little bit new, but not too new to really throw people off. So One or the other, right? Play something crazy, try and draw some bans, or if you get TF again, just pick that and let 5-Fire win the game for you.
Imagine how scared Frostfire would be if ANEW pulled out Master Yi and then just smurfed with it. That'd be kind of nuts.
You know,
do we ban
Why Master Yi?
What?
You always have this.
Do you have an insight?
Will? Yeah, you always have this will.
You want
Mike
the Young starts
champions.
with M, Master Yi starts with M. It's like
why and why?
Yeah. See, Master Yi, Mike Young.
Stop.
That's all I got.
I'm cutting
we're
you
done.
off.
We're done.
All right, Max. We need to call in Cassidy and make sure that you're doing all right. Can we get some water for Smax again? He might need it. Regardless, I would be more. Yeah. Thank you, producers.
I get this way
that's
too often. This Mia ping just has my name on it, I guess.
Smax, it's just one of those things. Sometimes, you go off on something like, the Fiddlesticks, that's fine, but Master Yi, like that, maybe I could see Frostfire pulling that out, but I don't know if Mike Young is going to do something along those lines. But
I'm going to look so smart if he does it, by the way.
Going into this game, too, I want to come back and reiterate the fact that, Cubby has outlined, a dark mat. I believe my producer just told me something. I didn't catch it, though. Cool. All right. Well, going into this game, since Dark Matter did have side selection, they have elected blue side, so they will have power over a first pick, which we have seen has led to many strong drafts for multiple teams. Karthus, I believe, was up on the table for both teams. Maybe Dark Matter decide to go down that Karthus route, as
right.
Cubby, you just said, and I believe you actually had a conversation with Shoryu about, hey man, you should really try Zig's bot as an answer to this Ash coming.
I never try to push Eddie's strategies coming on in, but it was more of like, I feel like a lot of picks that come into the meta just don't get properly punished. And Ashe is one of them where, like, with Karthus cropping up, I mean, we saw this Radiance versus, I believe it was Maryville. Yep. They picked this crazy Game 5 composition where Maryville first picked Ashe, and they picked, like, Karthus bot. They had full dive, they had a Nocturne, and all they did was just press R and make Ash's life
Pantheon
miserable.
Support.
Yeah, they have Pantheon support. Like, you can do things to, like, really hard counter some of these first picks coming through, and I see a lot of these first picks getting unpunished in draft. I do like Dark Matter, though, swapping over to blue side. Yes, it does give 5-Fire a counter pick in the mid lane, but I feel like ANEW is actually a stronger team on blue side because of how well Rodoff plays weak side, right? Niberia was mentioning some of those experience stats that Rodoff has and why he is heads and shoulders above of some of the competition. A lot of that isn't because Rodoff is like this beast mechanical player that's just winning lane every single time 1v1. It's actually because he plays very smart. He doesn't die, right? They put him on a weak side a lot with champions like Set and Ornn. And when the Herald's dropped, like, he doesn't die in that side lane. He plays very smart, and that's why he's soaking up all that golden XP and why he's so far ahead than compared to other top laners in XP as well. And so I feel like because of how well he does play weak side, ANEW actually doesn't punish as well on red side. Yes, 5-Fire has a massive champion ocean, but we usually see those R5 picks going towards top, going towards support. Sometimes they hit a little bit harder. The rest of the map for ANEW plays very smart and very well weak side, so I feel like Dark Matter getting their hands on some power picks. Maybe this is a bit of a swap up that they might need in order, to throw ANEW a little bit of a wrench in their plan, but it also means they're going to be playing a little bit more standard. And if they play standard, ANEW is the better team pound for pound.
Well, if that's the case, then Cubby, I'm looking forward then to some interesting adaptations from Dark Matter. I think when you are not only the odds are stacked against you and you're already facing match point from your opponent at this point, I think there's nothing beneficial for Dark Matter to play standard. They should just pull out all the stops. They should push ANEW Esports to their limits and try and put them in an unfamiliar situation. I think it is, what has worked for ANEW Esports when they took on 100 Thieves and just playing. I did like the plan of attack, as we said, going into this kind of pre-game talk about camping Fire, but
Yeah.
when you already know that he's playing a utility mid laner, there's not much benefit that you're going to get out of it, and it's hard to attack Rodolph on the side lane as well because he is Ornn. They did attempt it. It didn't really amount to anything. So I would like to see some focus towards that bottom side of the map. I think, you know, Fire has an ability to be able to perform no matter what, but potentially attacking Shoryu and Winner on this bot side of the map can be something that Dark Matter looks toward. But I still think, and I think we're all in agreement that ANEW Esports are just a very strong team. We can definitely agree that this should be another victory for ANEW coming in, but I would like to just, for the hell of it and for, you know, any chance of a comeback, just throw someone out here, Smacks.
You really want me to do that?
Yeah.
Like when I meant that, I meant not you throw something out, but just I'm just trying to get you to agree with me that, you know, like maybe, you know, not the mastery for ANEW, but maybe the mastery for Dark Matter. I mean, Zal is the person that plays all the weird junglers in this matchup, which is why I was a little surprised that we saw the set coming out, because that's not necessarily that weird. But I am getting word that we are just about ready for the draft phase for Dark Matter and ANEW. So on the behalf of the desk, we're going to be sending it back over to TJ and Iberia to get us into game 2.
Welcome back to the desk. It is me alongside, I almost said Ibris. Oh my god. That it took 1 day.
Me and Ibris.
It took 1 day. And I don't know how, because you are not remotely like Ibris. You have very different energies, and it took exactly 1 cast for me to mess you two up. Wow.
You're like
I don't know
my
how you
mother.
should take that.
My mom's
name's
like,
TJ.
Noah, come here. I'm like, Mom, I'm 24 and bald. My name's Matthew. Do you remember?
I didn't. My name is TJ. I'm alongside Matthew, Iberia, Clint Daniel for Game 2 of our quarterfinals, Dark Matter versus ANEW. And we saw an absolute powerhouse of a showing from ANEW in Game 1. They shattered Dark Matter. They demonstrated that even if you get early leads against them, it does not matter. And, well, they're looking to keep that pace in Game 2. We had this conversation a little bit at the end of that first series, Matt. How do you think Dark Matter could undo that?
So I think one of the big problems, they had some really good early mid 2v2 aggression, and I thought that was really good. They got Fire on the back foot. They kept trying to put pressure on him. Frankly, the problem was that despite the constant attempts at execution, none of them actually put Fire significantly behind. He had to blow summoners. He died once or twice, but he made his way back into lane almost immediately with his TP, and then everything was fine.
Well, I want to give him some credit for that, because, like, they did kill him twice. And any other mid laner, you get 2 early game kills on the mid laner, and you're like, oh man, Sep, as their star player as well, they're behind. And I had, like, Twitch chat up on my second monitor at the very start of the game, and people are like, oh, this game's over, ANEW are out of it. And that's the degree of damage it felt like they did. But as you said, if you were paying attention to the gold count, nothing ever changed.
Yeah, Fire just managed to farm incredibly well on top of it, and I think the big problem was that there just wasn't enough advantage being pushed from the Syndra. You have Syndra, you have a lead on Syndra. She's an incredibly powerful laner. She's a ton of damage, especially post 6. So once you get that Ludens, or even before it, if you just sit on the Lost Chapter, you have so much more damage potential than Twisted Fate, who in this game went Swifties into Catalyst. There's no damage whatsoever. So you should be playing that more aggressively. Ironically, the jungler was doing fantastic. Xyle was doing fantastic with the aggression, maybe even over-aggressing. But the problem was that Spirax just was not matching that level of aggression, and I think that was what really negated that early lead for them.
Yep. Well, we're into the draft for game number 2. Will it be another ANEW clean sweep, or Dark Matter with another surprise upset? They have been known to pull it out. We do see Dark Matter learn some lessons from that first game. Ashe is the first thing banned. ANEW also don't want to see that Syndra again on Spirax.
Which I'm I'm kind of mixed on that ban. I don't feel like Spirex looked particularly practiced on the Syndra in terms of the lane pressure he was able to put out. So I'm not sure if it was worth the ban.
I think that is something to pay attention to, what comes out in the mid lane, but I'm going to say for both teams, because ANEW Esports, with those 1-2 picks and with the bans dedicated towards that Ashe, towards that Ezreal, you can get 5 fire on the most comforting of picks.
Well, I feel like you can even just leave the Syndra open, and we've seen this happen a lot where you just pick LeBlanc into it. It's not like 5 fire can't play Assassins. It's not like 5 fire can't play LeBlanc. So, not sure if the Syndra ban was worth it once again, but it doesn't matter. Karma's been picked up.
That red square that is grayed out, we have had word from producer Joe that isn't a Felios ban, so just use your mind's eye, picture an emo boy there, and you're 90% of the way there. Picture Ibris from last cast, if you were here for that. He's basically a Felios. We got a Karma as the first pick for Dark Matter. Could be flexed into the support, but I actually strongly suspect that's going to go mid. The reason for it is it's something that Spirax can play really safe and just kind of scale.
Yeah, it's very supportive, and it'll let them try and set up for Spider and try and get that 80 carry bot lane rolling. The problem I suspect that Dark Matter are going to have is, again, that early game they're going to have to need a ton of intervention from Xyle to get things rolling. So I want to see a really aggressive early jungler for them. And ANEW have picked up both of Mike Young's favorite jungle picks.
Set or Volibear could go into the jungle, could also go into the top lane. Set actually a 3-way flex still, which is intimidating as hell, but what can you say about those 2020 champs? Oh, have you seen that? Is that like actually a thing?
Not in competitive, but in solo queue.
Alright, thanks, Matt. Good contribution.
Look, I mean, it's something. It's something.
Who's running it in solo queue?
It was a high-level game. It was a challenger game I was watching that had a Volibear support. So,
NA challenger?
NA, yeah.
I'm not sure if that makes it more or less valid to an NA amateur tournament. This will be the Olaf locked in, presumably for the jungle over on Dark Matter, and they get a Wukong, this time presumably for our top lane. Although we have seen that flexibility, technically there are 2 possible supports down there. ANEW Esports will lock in their AD carry, and she's a little bit of a rare sight on the Rift these days. That's a Kai'Sa, man.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Twitch chat, but I think the way to express this, I haven't finished my masters in Twitch chat yet, is poggers? Yes, yeah, that Kai'Sa.
I do believe that is something the kids say.
I actually really like Kai'Sa, just as a champion in general. And that's about all the analysis I have for you at this time. I'll be back in a few minutes when I see the rest of the draft. But the problems Kai'Sa usually has is that she takes forever to scale up. Her early game is not very strong. She even had to get some early game buffs a few patches ago because she was underperforming so heavily. But now they have banned out the major 2 pickups that I would suspect coming in from Dark Matter as well. When you pick that Wukong early, it has the potential to flex. We've seen 3 ways into the support with Starvation Senna, top lane, or into the jungle as we just saw. So they're removing that Starvation Senna option, which was actually what I was going to suggest Dark Matter try for. So, oof.
This feels like a little bit of a limit test as well for ANEW. Maybe character test more than limit test. It's, hey, we're up a game, we're in the semi or the quarterfinals, we're pretty sure that we can win this series. Why don't we take a moment to battle test one of the picks that's a little bit outside of the standard play? And we have a Rakan to back it up. That's actually a really fun duo. Before we focus in too much on that, I do want to point out, you have a degree in, or you studied linguistics, didn't you?
Yes.
And you are, okay, and you're taking a separate side program on Twitch chat? Is that how that Poggers came to be?
It's sort of, it's a sort of independent study program. The university offers a 3 credit option for independent study in your, that's Pogba.
Can we get another Poggers in the chat for Pogba? Matt, your wishes come true. It is a Lulu Pogba as the final 2 picks.
You better build Muramana. You better build Muramana. It's bad. It's terrible. It's the worst build ever, but I really want to talk about it because it's so incredibly terrible. All right, TJ, you want to hear the hypest build I've seen on Kog'Maw?
I have seen it. You fed. Continue.
No, this is the different one. I haven't fed with this one yet. We will fix that tomorrow. Anyways.
Okay, good.
Muramana first. Okay. Into Nashor's Tooth. Into Zhonya's, into Wit's End.
All right.
It's absolute hot garbage, and I kind of hope that Spider goes for it.
He's
not going to, because he's a very good player and understands how to build champions, but it would be really cool.
Let's see the completed drafts on both sides. We did brush over it, but the final pick for Fire was the Orianna. He gets himself a powerhouse in the mid lane versus Karma. It should be a lot of fun. The Wild Growth Lulu down bottom onto Kog'Maw is genuinely terrifying, so I want to see that duo work out. But we have ended up with the wildest 280 carries in the meta as a result. Because you have this like hyper-scaling Kog'Maw, hopefully not building any of your crackpot builds, but huge presence in the late game, especially with a Lulu and a Karma map backing it up. And then on the opposite side, you have a Kai'Sa, and I don't even know how to map a Kai'Sa onto the game state currently. But there will also be an Orianna, there will also be a Set and a Volibear, so ANEW's mid-game team fights are going to be very, very obviously powerful. My worry is that that's going to be enough to knock Dark Matter out of the game before Kog'Maw comes online, before there's any serious threat from the lineup they built.
So I actually think this is a really good draft adaptation here from Dark Matter, and also noticing that Olaf does not have a jungle item, having to back to pick that one up. I guess I could have just let that one slide. I'm sorry, Zyle. I didn't mean to point that out. Anyways, Spider Queen is able to pick up this Kog'Maw Lulu as the last rotation. You already have the Karma, but it's not guaranteed to be a mid-Karma. It could also flex top. We've seen that a few times. Could flex into the support role with something like Ezreal. But since you see the Kai'Sa and Rakan lane pushed out forward, you know that you're not going to be under a ton of early game pressure. Add on to that the potential that Lulu is still up and has been coming into the meta to assist things like the Aphelios. You suddenly can bring back that hyper carry protect the Kog'Maw composition that was so popular in the early days of League of Legends. Because like you were saying, Karma with Kog'Maw is really strong. Lulu with Kog'Maw is really strong. Both of them with Kog'Maw is actually kind of gross, the technical term.
But only if you get there. But only if you get to the point where they are able to significantly boost the Kog'Maw, and the Kog'Maw itself is doing enough that it matters, right?
Right, but Kog'Maw nowadays, a lot of people still think of Kog'Maw as this like hyper late game champion. Sorry, I love Kog'Maw so much.
No, I'm enjoying this. Keep teaching me, Professor Matt.
But he actually spikes a lot sooner than people still seem to believe. Blade of the Ruin King plus Ginsu's Rage Blade is really the only two items you need to be a strong force in team fights, because your W gives you so much extra damage on hit. So getting to Kog'Maw doing Kog'Maw things will be earlier than Shoryu actually hits his power spike with the Kai'Sa, because you hit that around 2 to 3 items. So from there, you actually have a brief window where you're Kog'Maw stronger than the Kai'Sa, and you already have an Ardent Sensor built up on at least one of these support champions, and the Athene's probably on Spirex. So I want to see them fight around that Kog'Maw 2-item spike, and that's when Dark Matter can start winning the game.
So you're saying then ANEW want to get an early lead specifically towards that bot lane, probably off of someone like Mike Young.
Well, Vodor barely surviving there. Good on him.
We're talking over it. I was so confident he would get away. I was like, should I pick that up? No, he's fine.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's chilling. Yeah, there's one of two ways that ANEW can play this in my mind. You either go for the early game lead and you get your Kai'Sa so far ahead that you get like a full item lead and it doesn't matter, or you can just wait it out. Kai'Sa does outscale Kog'Maw nowadays. A lot of people still think that Kog'Maw is this super hyper late game champion, but now that his build no longer includes crit, his late game is competent, but you'll see people building stuff like Randuin's Omen on him or Frozen Mallet, because there's only so much more damage you can get with an on-hit build. So the later stages of the game and the early stages of the game are both places where ANEW can try and make plays. The mid game is do or die for Dark Matter, on the other hand.
That's a very fun reversal from the normal narrative. Let's talk about the early game, because ANEW are indeed trying to make plays. Gimmel, who did get such a good start to this lane, gets hunted down and actually holds his own. Just drops the clone. What do? Mike Young, your engage has just been shattered. Spirax is the TP.
Oh, dab penguin. Gotta love it. But that was a really good clone use from Gibble. Maybe getting punished for it now. Haymaker still up from Vodor. Gibble just goes back in. All right.
Oh my god. Haymaker? Oh, he dodges the center. Barely. He stays out of the center. You can't chase this though, because Vodor is just going to regen all of his HP before you can get back in range.
You have like 2 mana as well. Get out of there, Gibble.
Zyle is here for the flank though. This could get dangerous.
Nah. He's fine. He's fine.
Set regen is disgusting.
Yeah.
Winter is looking for something in mid lane, and that was a mistake. He was very weirdly desynced with 5-fire there.
Both AD carries picking up cults. I don't think there's going to be much. I don't think there's going to be much aggression bot lane, TJ. I think they're just going to kind of vibe.
We're just going to vibe at the early state of this game.
Look at this. The supports have just abandoned their AD carries. They've just hand-shook the bottom lane. They're like, all right, you farm up, we see who wins. Fun time. All right, supports go, like, play the game somewhere else.
We're busy playing Cookie Clicker. You guys go do something else.
Cookie Clicker is a good game, and I will fight you on that point.
Ooh! Zyle has to blow the flash just to get away. Here is Spirax in the area. The root will land onto 5-fire, and that could be a huge punish if they get it. 5-fire forced to blow a flash of his own. Winter is here on the rotate in. Just as the rotate comes through from... I lose a player for it. Just like that, Zyle, the jungler, is gone. Spirax should get another stun, but 5-fire's got a huge shockwave to end that fight before anything can go back to dark matter.
That was a beautiful fight from ANEW, and I want to point out that Winter was still level 3 for that entire fight, and they still managed to not lose anyone throughout that entire engage. That was just absolutely balletic coming out from 5-fire and Co. here on ANEW.
And ANEW again get a huge amount off of their early game. This time, Mike Young back with a little bit of that signature aggression. Like, look at this madness. They push all the way up here to blast plant into Wolves. Who does this?
ANEW do this, TJ. This is what they're kind of known for. They're known for Mike Young being that super aggressive tempo-making jungler. He decides where you're fighting. He decides when you go in. Everyone else just kind of has to follow and keep up, but you can see why it finds success for them, especially with 5-fire hitting 6 there with a shockwave. Just ends the engage, and they're not punished for this hyper-aggression.
No, indeed. They do back for it, though, which means Dark Matter, off of some really good tempo awareness, will grab the Cloud Drake while we were away. And I want to highlight that, because that is really good tempo awareness to know that there's a window there.
Take a peep here at the bottom lane. They're still chilling. They're still vibing. Winter might be looking. Winter might be looking for this. No, he's not close enough to 6.
I don't think there's enough to make anything happen there.
I can see a world where, since Winter has the experience lead now, at 6 they just go for an all-in engage, since Slogan won't have ult, and that's the only way that the Kog'Maw survives, through a full engage.
I like the way you're thinking. Mostly because I just don't want to see Kog'Maw succeed. I don't want to return to that.
Come on, he's so cute. Did you see the
in the minion wave? I'm not sure about that, but nothing much comes of it. In the meantime, Zyle is really trying to get the Scuttler, and he really will not. Smite does come out from Mike Young alongside a 3-man push. Good vision out here from ANEW, and that'll get them the Rift Herald.
There's really good rotations coming out from ANEW. 8 minutes on the dot. You see them running up towards the top lane for that Rift Herald. You've rotated the bottom lane up towards the top side of the map. And the only thing that Dark Matter are going to be able to contest with is try and get some plates bottom.
That's a beautiful shockwave, and Winter's there for the engage immediately off the back. 5-fire is completely fine despite another gank attempt from Dark Matter.
They're really having a rough time in this early stage of the game. Uh-oh. Spirax about to get dove on her tower as well.
behind his second tower. The flash is very well timed, and Spyrox will survive as a result. Winter actually pretty low at the end of all this. The turret only lost one plate. Here comes Mike Young, though.
Oh, he's diving in. That's a terrifying pair.
Oh lord, he died. Doesn't get much from it. The return will change that. This may very well be a turret that gets picked up. Zyle hiding behind it, can't get out in front, and should be able to clear the wave before the turret goes down. But it's a lot of early game damage.
We're going to try the tech, TJ.
Okay. Oh, are
Look
you
at that.
drawing? Oh, he is! Look at the map! Ladies
Look,
and
there's
gentlemen,
two
Producer
plates
Joe
left there.
has given us the technology. Behold, this map, Iberia Daniel draws upon the map. Here at Challengers Uprising. Don't ever say our production sucks again. You can't. We can draw on the map. Can LCS do that? Maybe.
Maybe. We haven't seen them try it yet, but we certainly can. All right.
They do.
So we're going to do some math here, TJ. Are you ready?
Right?
2 plus 3 equals 5, which is greater than 4.
You did not plan out where those numbers were going very well at all. Terrible macro game.
But it worked out. It worked out. We did the math. And by that, I have proven that ANEW actually have less gold in their pockets off of that play. Despite dropping the Rift Herald in the mid lane, they actually got more from Dark Matter by pushing out the top and bottom lanes simultaneously and just kind of leaving mid lane to get hit. And then the tower dies and that negates the point, but I was drawing, so I don't care. I was right at the time I started drawing.
That's very good. I think you should get partial credit for that.
I should get full credit. What are you talking about? I'd hate having you as my TA.
I'm so sorry. You have standards and I have undercut them. The bot lane show was coming through, and it was Spider Queen getting a little bit more inside his bank account, and I want to highlight that. Oh no. Matt has figured out how to draw. This is going to keep getting worse.
You know what else I can do?
No. But I don't want to know.
All right, that one's not working. All right, it's fine. I just want to highlight the top lane CS differential because Vodor's kind of been getting messed up here.
Sure, you will get scared back down bottom. There was a little bit of skirmish around that rift, or around that Drake, sorry. Zyle forced to blow the flash in the meantime. Mike Young responsible for that. ANEW's vision control has been really good, not just up at the Rift Herald, which obviously got them that, but now as we shift down towards the Drake, they're set up for that as well.
Not going to be going for it just yet. Trying to get some aggression down in the bottom lane. It's a 4 versus 3 in favor of ANEW right now. Teleport is still up for the top laner of Dark Matter, so he will...
Has Pogba arrived, Matt?
Uh-oh.
Spider Queen, safe from this engage, hasn't come through. Wild Growth is going to be spent. That's actually bumping up Zyle in the front lines. And he's just going underneath the turret, Matt. He just keeps going underneath him. And he does not find the kill, obviously. It goes down as a result, but it does keep Spider Queen alive.
Look at that damage coming out from the Kog'Maw, too. That's not even with a single item. That is with Vamp Scepter and picks from Lulu. So... lots of damage coming out here from the Kog'Maw, and this is kind of what I was talking about. Despite being a little bit behind in items,
they don't have their jungler. Matt Zyle just didn't.
Yeah, but like Mike Young's not there, so it's
okay. All right.
This is questionably fine.
Because of the damage that Zyle does by running underneath the turret, Dark Matter managed to get the Drake. Don't try it at home, kids. It is dangerous. But it is the second Drake of the game. Over to Dark Matter, giving them a objective lead in a pretty close game otherwise.
Uh-oh. Spider Queen's in a little bit of trouble. No charm available there from Winter, so not too terrified. I wonder if they have enough for the back at this point.
Why is Spirax... okay. They've just decided to put more and more into Spirax. Yes, I respect it. What is your Olaf really going to do come mid-leg game?
Run at you. Prey.
Yeah, we do see Geibel up here on the top lane. I want to call this out because Mike Young is coming in real fast, and he should go down if not for the intervention of Zyle, who does arrive in time, and he's got the undertow as well.
God.
Vodor has to spend the haymaker, has to spend the showstopper, and neither one saves him. I apologize, Zyle. You absolutely deserve the gold. You'll find a peg.
That showstopper was so funny.
I've
not seen the Ragnarok showstopper interaction before, so seeing Set just grabbing midair and slamming down with nothing in his hand,
He's social distance.
very fun.
Just making sure that he doesn't get within the 6 feet of the person he's body slamming. Unfortunately, that requires a certain amount of playing along from Zyle, who opted not to participate.
Oh no, I'm getting jumped. I'm suplexing. I'm being suplexed. Help!
Be really good if he just, like, flopped. Hey, closer to real wrestling, though.
Not enough storylines about stealing girlfriends and stuff, or coming back from the dead. I don't know what wrestling's about, but I can see both of them working. Anyways, there's a dive. Speaking about coming back from the dead, that's what Spider Queen's going to have to do in a second here, because that's 2 kills already.
Yep, Geibel is in the area, but a little bit too late. A very, very lethal dive from ANEW. And they're looking for more. They're going to double dip on this map. They've got the wave to do it. Thanks,
Very
producer
fancy.
Joe. Fantastic work. Unfortunately, despite finishing Cole, his turret's going to go down. And our poor Pogba in the bot lane is bearing behind after that. It's going to be a lot of bank and sure use pocket.
If Dark Matter lose this, I think one of the big things that I'm going to answer as the reason is that they're using Pugma, which is an objectively inferior skill to Arcanist Kog'Maw.
You want the Arcanist? Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to
so
ask
good.
you how you felt about the skin game, but I'm happy you just gave me that answer on your own.
Yeah. No, I bought the skin and all the chromas. I'm not ashamed. I'm a little ashamed.
Oh no. A little ashamed. Then maybe don't admit that. I mean, might get a little bit of revenge popped on them here in the mid lane. 5-fire nuke down. Smite comes through. Zyle will secure the kill. And Dark Matter aren't out of this yet. It was a very good force playing by ANEW down bottom. But if Dark Matter can get that 5-fire pick and turn it into a Rift Herald, they absolutely neutralize it.
And to be honest with you, TJ, I'm looking at the items and I genuinely don't know how Spider Queen is so far behind in items. I know Blade is like 3k-ish, but so is Muramana and so is Rage Blade. So I don't know how he's just sitting on 1 item instead of 2 completed items. But remember how I was like, yeah, the only way that the Kaisa has an earlier spike is if she's literally a full item ahead.
She is.
That.
But he finished Cole, Matt.
Yeah, she sold the cull. I guess Spider has not sold their cull. So that's one argument you could possibly have for it, but this is really worrying now, because that was Dark Matter's whole win condition, was getting the Kog'Maw in a position towards the mid game where you have the Athenes on Holy Grail, you have the Ardent Sensor to be put on him by both support champions, and from there he just kind of pops off and carries you into later stages of the game. But that is not happening right now.
Oh, here's the engage. Maybe a chance to make it work. Spirax will find this done. Winter's pretty far forward. Wild Growth is already eaten alive. Zyle gets nothing from it. And now they're down to player. You just have to turn tail and run if you're Dark Matter. ANEW do a fantastic job kicing out that engagement, Matt.
Now, we're going to be looking for this turret. Nothing much Spider Queen's going to be able to do. So who you need to be watching in all of these fights is Spider Queen, because that W cooldown is exactly what's going to determine whether Dark Matter win this fight or lose it. It's an extra, like, 400 range, something ridiculous like that. Feels really good to play with. And an extra, like, 4% max health on hit. So when you don't have that up, you're team fighting, despite having a Lulu, despite having a Karma with all those juicy supportive items, just is not there.
I do want to point out that is the second time they've spent the Wild Growth on Zyle, who is happily just run an entire enemy team that died. At least that time it wasn't under her, but it is not. The play is not working.
At any point where you have to say, well, at least that time it wasn't under turret, you're not talking about an excellent play.
The turret dive was actually better because Zyle managed to get I believe it was Shoryu down to like really low HP. I kind of believed he might get the kill that time.
Well, Shoryu was out of the fight at that point. It doesn't really matter if you kill him or not, as long as he can't fight.
Yeah,
at least that did accomplish
whereas
something.
that one, he just kind of sure did
Just like,
go
woo!
forward. Sure did walk towards the enemy menacingly. Got real big, glowed orange. Not a whole lot after that, and the Dark Matter plan kind of falls apart if you don't have the tank that can hold front line, because ANEW certainly aren't going to fight into Spider Queen without a plan to shut it down.
Yeah.
Like the whole theory of Spider Queen is going to be able to 100 HP them only matters if Spider Queen gets to auto-attack them, which I don't think he really has this entire game.
No, and I mean, even on top of that, there's so many clear windows of power for Kog'Maw because it is that W that allows you to do everything, and so far ANEW have been playing incredibly well around it, and we've been seeing Fire be able to get these picks with the shockwaves onto Spider Queen, and at that point it's just really terrifying for the win condition available to Dark Matter, because they're no longer able. That's terrifying.
That bear is so big, Spirax is just gone. Mike Young with the slam dunk.
And that's the power of this Fire build. He went Seraph's Embrace directly into Rabadon's Death Cap. That is the one-shot build, and you can afford to do that because there's no significant healing yet built up on the side of Dark Matter. And, like, who's going to tank through enough that you need to build Voice Staff, enough that you need to build for more sustained fights? Just burst them with a shock
down. Full engage here. Cyclone already spent. Watch that backline though. Spider Queen the focus. He's shut down right at the start of the fight. Shoryu gets access to him, and that is just the end of Dark Matter's hope there. A beautiful play by Shoryu, hunting round the back lines while the knock-up came through from Winter, and that will be a clean pickup of a fight and a clean pickup of a Baron for ANEW.
The positioning just hasn't been there for Dark Matter. If you look at the end of that fight, it looks like everyone used pretty much everything. But Slogan used the Wild Growth on himself, trying to run away from Fire, which means he wasn't there to use it on Spider Queen and keep him safe. You need to use that heal, you need to use that Wild Growth. With this composition, Kog'Maw is your only hope. So watch Spider Queen. This is like damning positioning from here. You're alone, entirely alone at this point.
And watch Winter's turn here, because the second, like, he's so split, the second he tries to get close, Winter is like, oh, he spawned a puppy. And goes all in, and he just creates the opportunity for Shoryu to do that.
Looking back on it, I think ironically, Slogan was too close to the AD carry because got immediately charmed from Rakan, and then from there just wasn't able to blow anything. So this is a really rough game here for Dark Matter. This is do or die at the moment, and there's still no Rage Blade on Kog'Maw.
Fire and Co. will bring the super empowered minions towards the base again. This is ANEW looking to close out a game sub 30 minutes of Do It.
Top lane 1v1 happening again, but Devil's in a little bit of trouble. I think this might be the win here for Vodor. This would just kind of be the end of the game.
Haymaker's down. He can't Haymaker. The fighting game's a tie. So Mike Young has to come in. You're playing a MOBA, not a fighting game. Beautifully well done.
Fire does so much damage too.
The Haymaker, it was like down, so there was no more HP. If Geibel had chased that, I think he could have won it.
I think he just wasn't confident on the timers and the abilities, because there is the chance that Vodor could have just turned it with the vision. Staying safe in the bush was a really good choice.
I love top lane duels. A little bit of a Street Fighter vibe. That will be the only fight Dark Matter had hope of winning. They go in anyway, though, and they catch Vodor out. Maybe I eat my words as Vodor goes down pretty quickly. Mike Young and Shoryu want the turn. Shoryu does have the damage. Spider Queen is here in the front line, taking damage, but dealing as good as he gives. As Geibel shows up at the back lines, it's an assassination onto Shoryu, and ANEW actually lose 2 key players in that skirmish.
Oh, Spider Queen's still looking for the aggression here with Slogan. You really need to back out, though. You've seen what Fire's damage can do to you. Oh, the shockwave lands onto Spider Queen. TJ, no!
He is just deleted. Spirax on the run. Has seen his AD carry, his hopes and dreams vanish before his eyes, and they just want to get out.
Dark Matter like almost brought it back. I really want to root for them, not just for my predictions, but because I think Kog'Maw's sick. I don't have a lot of analytical reasons to root for them. I just like close series.
I know you, like you said, you bought the Arcanist Kog'Maw skin and all of its chromas. I think your biases are laid out on the table.
Yeah, they're very clear for everyone to see.
In your bank account.
Spider Queen was doing genuinely well in that team fight, but the problem was, if you take a look back at the very beginning of it, Spider Queen had double shields from the Karma and the Lulu, and Fire tossed in one QW combo. And Spider Queen no longer had any shields and had like 20% health. It was real rough real quick. And that's the danger of these fights. But after surviving that initial burst, we saw how much damage Spider Queen was able to put out. So you need to find more fights where you're able to at least mitigate the initial burst or have Fire waste the combo on someone else. And from there, I think Dark Matter still have a chance of getting into that. But it's a 3-item
The problem is who tanks. The problem is who tanks. Like the Olaf, maybe. Nobody else on Dark Matter
tank,
can tank.
Someone just happens to die first. That's kind of how that works.
I suppose. The answer's probably still Xyle. Like Young may be caught out here. Fire's got the orbs though, and at the sight of the orb, everyone will back away. Shoryu shoving down towards this inhibitor, and ANEW are looking to seal the deal. Here in game number 2, this would lock them out of the quarterfinals, knocking Dark Matter out of Challengers Uprising. So everything is on the line here as ANEW approach the base.
Trying to decide whether they want to let this inhibitor go or not. In mid lane, trying to defend the push as best they can. Xyle getting poked out a little bit. Shoryu, ton of damage. There goes the engage from Winter. Oh my god! Mike Young goes in as well. The double kill comes out for Fire. And now that's the inhibitor down. TJ, from this point, I don't know how Dark Matter stay in it.
But Geibel did win his 1v1 versus Bo3, so the top laner has a CS advantage, but that is it. The top laner will TP back into the base. It is just Geibel as his teammates are annihilated. ANEW make yet another statement, a 2-0 in the quarterfinals, and Dark Matter are blasted out of Challengers Uprising. ANEW Esports are back to take over the amateur scene yet again. But they need to wait for this minion wave.
Okay, we're just going to have a highlight reel. Just imagine some fantastic music coming in on the background, really rising up there as Xyle's health bar falls. The music swells. The Nexus struggling to survive, as is Spyrax. And ANEW chase for kills because they really want to help out the boys' fantasy leagues. They might actually throw here. You guys really need to hit the Nexus. Please hit the Nexus.
Bo3 realizes what's up. He'll turn. Spider Queen's doing so much damage. Fire goes down. Bo3 doing up the damage. He needs to stop haymakering it. Just auto attack. He knows we're fine. We're safe. ANEW 2-0.
I like how that went from the cleanest game end ever to like, oh wait, no, they didn't have the minions. All right, well, they'll just bring it in. We'll do a little highlight reel, do a little zoomy turn to, oh my god, ANEW might actually throw here.
Shout out to Bo3 for being the member of the team who I think realized, oh god,
who still had one brain cell remaining at the end of the game.
Let me auto attack this Nexus real quick. That's getting a little bit dangerous. Dark Matter, I think we have to frame it as they did really, really well, actually. There were, I mean, in a league where Supernova proper didn't make it out of groups, the fact that Dark Matter are in these quarterfinals, the fact that Dark Matter had moments during that series where they obviously were bringing team fights close to a team as good and as storied as ANEW is a damn good sign. I want to see more from those players, I think particularly from their top laner.
Yeah, I think it was a fantastic showing from the entire team. I want to see more creative drafts like they were able to pull off. Gave them a little bit more of that oomph that they were missing in game number 1. And I think it was very close to going to a game number 3.
Maybe in the first couple of minutes. And then we kind of saw the ANEW difference. That was another really solid performance for them playing through their win conditions. Another really solid performance for them showing that They can get Fire back into these games, they can play through them, but they also have a top laner who is always ahead. But they also have Mike Young, who has tamed a lot of that aggression and made it a team asset, as opposed to the deficit occasionally was when he was in Academy.
Yeah, I think Mike Young and the entire team have really proven their mettle, especially in this series, and I really expect to see a lot coming through to them. I expect them to be ending up in the finals, and I expect to be getting to see a lot more
hard
from
predictions
them going forward.
Don't take that too hard, though, because Matt's predictions are generally wrong. We have the stats on that. You can tune in for the semi-finals, where we can see if they're right or wrong next week. It'll be Wednesday and Thursday, back-to-back semis. Myself and I believe Ibra's on the cast. Thank you so much for watching. We still have a desk to break down that final game, as well as foreshadow for the rest, so stay tuned for now. Challenges Uprising will return again next Wednesday.
Thank you so much, TJ and Iberia, for a wonderful cast on the series. And gentlemen, Smacks and Kelby, I mean, it's not that we didn't expect any different, but, you know, it was at least a valiant attempt from Dark Matter. I did really enjoy the draft. I think a team just that, I mean, it's going to feel bad to say, but a better team with individuals that can match up to the individual process that ANEW Esports have could have potentially pulled off that draft, because I think, you know, me and Cubby were talking about historically that Kog'Maw is a really cool counter pick into the Kai'Sa.
Yes, and I really think that they actually somewhat botched it a little bit with the itemization. Like, they had 2 Ardent Sensors coming on in. I'm not exactly sure. And also the Spider Queen got kind of far behind in that game. And a lot of that's off to the great play of Shoryu and Winter, who on this Rakan, it's a pick that he plays. And usually we see Winter sticking towards tanks and engaged tanks. But when he breaks out this Rakan, it's so flexible. And he did such a good job of finding those picks. And you could see just how fast some of these fights were with ANEW Esports. And I love the way they were kiting out Xyle, killing him off, and then just turning onto the Kog'Maw with the zone control that Orianna brings and the powerful engage that Rakan can bring as well.
And Winter was spreading the wealth all the way up the map as well. We're seeing him make plays literally everywhere. It feels like both AD carries got the helicopter treatment. Both supports were just roaming all around.
I mean, this should not be able to happen, like, from ANEW, right? If you have Karma Olaf, there's no way that you should lose this fight, but ANEW somehow pulls it off. They're down levels, they're down items, and, I mean, Fire ding 6 here, which might save it for him, but this is just, like, the sign of, like, Dark Matter's outmatched in this matchup, and it feels bad, but if you watch those games, it's pretty clear that ANEW was the better team and came out as a better team on the day.
Definitely a rough draw for Dark Matter to go up against this oh-so-dominant team in the first round. But again, a lot of props for them for getting to the quarterfinals at all, and they did put up a fight in this game as well. You could see that they were trying to match a little bit of that early pressure. Slogan was trying to match the roams of Winter, but it was just a little bit less effective here. And even though that Kog'Maw counter pick came in, Shoryu just showed his absolute mastery over this Kai'Sa pick. You can tell just how strong he is on this champion when you blind pick Kai'Sa. That's not a champion that you can really do that on. Usually it is a counter against that Ezreal that is very, very popular, but he's confident enough to pull it out here in game 2, blind of all things, and he absolutely performed on it for sure.
It was very disgusting to witness, to be quite honest. I mean, ANEW just flexing their muscles, saying, hey, yeah, you know, we don't mind blind picking the Kai'Sa. Now, maybe something going forward into their matchup against Frostfire in the semifinals going into next week. I do want to give a little highlight to that, but before we get into that, I want to review as well the final circumstance or outcomes of the entire playoffs bracket for today. If we can take one last look or a quick look at the overall graphic for there. But with this, we'll be playing against Polar Ace for their semifinal matchup, and then Frostfire be taking on ANEW Esports. And I think we've had some, discussions going back and forth on the desk. It could be very easy to say that 100 Thieves next and ANEW is the projected finals finalists for this matchup, and we've already seen not only a preview of this back in Upsurge Grand Finals this past Tuesday, but also we will be seeing a preview of it again potentially tomorrow over on Big League Grand Finals.
Yes.
But I'm going to throw something your way, gentlemen. I talked to Returned, and I predicted that Frostfire was going to meet 100 Thieves next, and they were going to also 3-2 100 Thieves. And I'm still going to hold on to that prediction all the way until that final series is over. So, but that's just my bold prediction going into it. But Cubby, I want to throw it your way, and not only for a chance to rebuttal, tell me how and stupid I am. Oh, actually, before you get a chance to talk more about that, I believe
even rebuttal.
Wow.
Giraffe
Take
just
us out
makes
to
the point
dry.
and gets away with it.
I'm so sorry. I believe we are getting an interview though with ANEW Esports, courtesy of Ari Panda. Take it away.
Welcome back to Challengers Uprising, everyone. We just saw our final quarter match of the first season of Challengers Uprising. So with ANEW Esports taking down Supernova Dark Matter 2-0, I am joined by jungler Mike Young. Congrats on that 2-0 victory.
Thank you.
Pretty swift, pretty decisive. So walk me through the game 1 draft. You know, what were your guys' thoughts going into this game against Supernova Dark Matter, and what were some of your plans going into this series?
Our main plan was just to play just like we've usually done. Like, just make sure we prep well, don't get complacent, and we played well.
Yeah, no, definitely it was a well-rounded draft in my opinion. You guys were able to pretty much keep control of the map the entire time. So transitioning into game 2, how did you guys feel about the Kog'Maw Lulu Karma setup?
Oh, it did really surprise us. We did not expect that.
Right.
But we had a pretty nice dive setup, so we were able to shut it down pretty easily.
Yeah, it was we were all pretty excited for it a little bit. We're like, okay, yeah, the Kog'Maw, we get it, the Lulu and the Karma, all the shielding, but your guys' draft was able to pretty quickly dismantle that.
Yeah, the late game fights, since I'm like a tank guy and Kog'Maw like melts me. Yeah, I really felt the power of it when he almost one-shot me, but good thing my carries were able to one-shot him back.
Definitely. Yeah, Kog'Maw with 2 items, not the most fun champ for a tank player. So you guys are actually going to be playing Frostfire next week in a best-of-5 semifinal series. How are you guys feeling going into that match?
I'm pretty excited to play best of 5s. I feel like you can showcase a lot more like of different type of play style. So I'm pretty excited for that. We're not going to be prepping anything, too differently than we usually do for each team.
Okay.
We just play our own way.
All right. I like the vote of confidence there. Not going to change anything, just going to play our own game. All right. Any final thoughts before I let you go?
Nothing much, but thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate the views, and hopefully you guys have a good night too.
Yes, again, thank you guys so much for
Hey,
joining
Lauren,
us
can we raid
here at
Frostfire?
Challengers Uprising tonight for our final quarterfinals of the regular season. So I'm going to send it back to the analyst desk. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Ari Panda and Mike Young, for that interview. Goes to speak that ANEW have a lot of confidence going into Frostfire, but they're not necessarily disrespecting their opponents too much. I'm always a proponent of being able to say, you know what, you shouldn't have to prep too differently for any matchup or series. You should just focus on presenting your best selves and then allowing the best of 5 to play out naturally if you need to make any adaptations. But, Cubby, going back to you, I know you wanted a chance to rebuttal my Frostfire win prediction over them.
Yeah, I just had to bring it up early at the end of the interview too. It was just on the tip of my tongue. I couldn't hold back. I have to say, if there's going to be upset out of the two, I think it could be Frostfire. Like, I think they're more likely than Polar's because they just have these awkward picks. They have some experience with Quas, but it's best of 5s. Like, I don't see ANEW or 100 Thieves Next dropping in best of 5s when you get that many games. And I'm more excited for honestly, the best of 5 that these guys have to play tomorrow in Big League, I think it's actually going to be very telling the form that both these teams are in, because part of the games I see them play, they aren't being punished with a lot of these plays, and it was good to see someone punish 100 Thieves Next so far when I knew 2-0 them earlier this week, and I think 100 Thieves Next are going to be very hungry and angry, kind of hangry coming into that series, as they want to prove themselves as the best team, and taking the finals of Big League too.
Well, Cubby, in all of the Cup quarterfinals, there were no upsets based on seeding, and if I have seen enough of these brackets play out, I know that there's always at least one upset. So it very well could happen. Mark very well could be onto something, because if 100 Next and ANEW are the finals matchup, then that would be no upsets at all. So just saying.
You got to earn it. You got to earn it to get there.
But yeah, I am very excited as well for that Big League matchup tomorrow, because I do still think that is going to be our final over here at Challengers Uprising as well. Both these teams have looked very, very dominant, but I got to say, ANEW tonight looked even more so. Not to knock Dark Matter too much. Maybe it is because of the opponent that they did draw, but these 2 games looked very, very solid for ANEW. Very excited to see what they can pull off against Frostfire next week.
Yep.
Well, gentlemen, I do see that there's a bunch of people that are kind of pouring in and asking about, is the new series already over with Dark Matter? Well, if you missed it, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happened in a nutshell.
Oh, no.
Well, when what 5 minutes of editing in Premiere Pro can get you during that game, I thought that it would be pretty, a decent thing to just explain to the people for anyone that missed it, because, watching 40 minutes, 50 minutes of gameplay and then plus breaks might be too much. So that is your summary. Mike Young, had a really nice Volibear game in that game too. So
I do not
he popped
stand
off
for this type of bear behavior, by the way. That's a little bit too violent for me. I'm going to keep things a little bit more modest here.
Sometimes the too much bear action is just unbearable, especially for Dark Matter in this case. Now, I do want to talk about a little bit of the other side of the coin, the semi-final matchup for 100 Thieves and Polar Race. We didn't get a huge chance to talk more about it as we were getting ready for the series, but now, Smacks, I think we're all in the boat that 100 Thieves will have their way with this one. But, with that in mind, is there anything that Polar Race showed today that might be able to be something they can play towards going into 100 Thieves?
I definitely think that if they pulled out a day 1 jungle substitute against Kenvi, then that would have gone significantly worse than it did today. So that's at least something to look forward to. Pi Swaggerus looked pretty nice on his Lee Sin. So if he can pull that kind of stuff out, he's already got this confidence boost winning in that quarterfinal on his very new team for himself, then maybe we can see some more highlight plays in that series as well, alongside Busio on that LeBlanc, man. Ooh, if he can do that to Copy, then, well, first of all, I don't think he can do that against Copy, but he might be able to prove me wrong. If he does, then I don't know. Busio might just need to get his name up in the Hall of Fame, because that was a ridiculous game. I would love to see that kind of performance against 100 Next as well. Give us a competitive best of 5 there with that LeBlanc play for sure.
All I have to say to Pi Swaggerus is good luck, have fun, because you're going up against the best player in SGC. And congrats on your win today. Seriously, like he stepped up huge in that best of 3, and you could see improvement from game 1 to game 3. So very impressive stuff from him if he is going to be the jungler moving forward. But you're going up against Kenvi, and no one really survives that one. So best of luck, buddy. I hope to see you perform and make it interesting and take some games, but don't think that's going to happen. Yeah,
I will say that I would have believed that up until the ANEW series from Tuesday. But it wasn't just purely Mike Young outplaying Kenvi. It was a team effort, right? ANEW Esports working as a whole, being able to dismantle the entire top side
they put great.
And I have to say that there, was a game where 100 Thieves were pretty down. I want to say it was from yesterday's series against Mirage, where Kenvi and Tony Top were getting dismantled. Mirage and Hayami, had a solid plan of going about it, but it just didn't work out and to close out. So, it's going to take Polar Ace to go that extra mile to where ANEW Esports. But now, fantasy points, I know they're coming in, ladies and gentlemen, because it is time to calculate
I feel pretty
who
good
came
about my
out
day.
on top for the end of the day. And Senor Cubby. Now,
I
I
closed
will
the gap
say...
a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I will
didn't.
say that this is the point total. The actual points that were earned today, starting with Smacks with the most, which was 158.74 points. Then it was myself for 146.46 points, and then Cubby for 142.44 points.
So I had the worst day.
You still had the worst day, but it wasn't that bad.
You lost
as
to a
yesterday.
team with 2 supports, man. Oh.
You did too. Oh wait, no, you didn't.
No,
I
still
got
down.
more points
You're still
today.
down.
Yeah. Busio
I am
hard
still
carried
down.
for him today.
All I
In
have to
fact,
say- All I have to
Thank you,
say was
Busio.
that in The Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio, he went a long way to get his first Oscar, and that's what we're doing here. We're just playing the long game, gonna try and win that fantasy trophy. I am so screwed. I'm in big
you
trouble.
have
I don't know how we're
2
gonna do
more
this one.
drafts
This is bad.
to make up for
This is not
this
good.
deficit. You
Can
are
I get
still
the first
about
3 picks? I'm gonna need it.
Oh, I'm not sure. We'll have to revisit that. Our last 2 fantasy drafts will be for the first semifinals match on Wednesday, and then the last semifinals match on Thursday. Afterwards, we will crown the fantasy points champion. We will have some punishments still to be determined for that day. But, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the entire Challengers Uprising broadcast staff and crew, I want to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's quarterfinal series. We will see you back here on Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to tune in for the wonderful pre-show. Have a good night.